Unfortunately for many companies, this sign now represents a cry for help. For the last 15 years, I've hired hundreds of thousands of people for hundreds of organizations. And for many of them, the problems are all the same. No matter whether you're hiring an entry-level employee or a high-level executive, companies are having a hard time finding and keeping good people. And we all know the answer, right? People just don't want to work. I mean, we've all said it, right? And so when I think about these people that don't want to work, I think about the organization as being deflated. So what do we do with this flat organization, with these flat people that just don't want to work? Well, for some companies, you bring in a guy like me, right? And we charge up the workforce, and we say, if we charge them up, maybe they'll work this time. But jumper cables don't fix a flat tire. For other organizations, you say, I tell you what, we'll fuel the organization with better compensation and better benefits. But the company down the street pays another quarter, and they walk right out of the door because gas doesn't fix a flat tire. Maybe we'll just get rid of everybody. And so I'll call in a tow truck, and that'll fix them. And I get them on the line, and I say, get me a new workforce pronto. But the organization still remains flat. You see, I'm standing in the red circle today because I have the answer to the problem. I have the answer to the million-dollar question. Why don't people want to work? Lean in. The reason people don't want to work is because they don't want to work for you. You see, the truth is, people don't quit companies, they quit their bosses. And the sad truth is that many organizations are running from this hard truth, but we all know it. And so what do we do about it? What do we do about the fact that we are deflating the development of our people? Well, that's why you're here today. Because there are three things that you must recognize before you can fix your flat organization and your flat culture and really inflate your organization to get productivity that you desire. The first thing that you must do is realize that people aren't products. I know that sounds like it's a very simple answer, but the truth is that many companies treat people like products. And so we get a product in, right, and we scan it and we put it in the SAP and we put it on the shelf, and the widget does exactly what we want it to do. And if it doesn't do what we want it to do, we send it back to the supplier. But I got the news for you. They're not creating any more people. And so you can't just send people back. You can't just kick them back out to the workforce. With people, you have to connect with them. And if you don't connect with them, with their hopes and their dreams and their desires and what they want for their futures, you'll never get the productivity that you desire. As a result, a recent Gallup poll indicated that 51% of employees are looking for another job. Ask the person next to you, is it you? The other thing that we have to realize is that people are programmed for progress. And that's important to us because if people feel like they're not going anywhere in your organization, they'll simply just go elsewhere. That same Gallup poll indicated that 28% of millennials feel like they're fulfilled in their work. That means the rest of them feel like they come to work every day and they get nothing out of it. Millennials are now one of the largest groups in the workplace, and their turnover last year alone cost companies $30.5 billion. How do you make profits like that? The next thing we have to realize is that people persist in their passions. What frustrates me about companies is that we give all of these personality assessments, the Myers-Briggs, the predictive index, the Wonderlic, the Cooter preference test, the Gallup strengths assessment, trying to figure out who they are. And then once they get there, we stick that assessment in a drawer and we stick them in a job and say, do your work. Never trying to figure out what their passions are. Never trying to align our vision and our mission to their core competencies. So some of you are sitting there and you're saying, I've heard all this before, but what do we do about it? How do we fix it? Well, I'm glad you asked. In the next few minutes, I want to tell you how we fix it. The first thing that you must do is that you must acknowledge the indicators. You see, anytime I've had a flat tire driving in my car, I've realized that my dashboard told me all about the pressure I was losing in my tire. And for some of you, you're trying to drive your organization towards success, and you're ignoring the indicators of your people. I'm looking at my profits. I'm looking at my performance. I'm looking at my productivity. I'm looking at my processes, but I'm ignoring my people. And because you won't acknowledge the indicators, your organization has become a revolving door. You hire somebody today, you blink, and they're gone tomorrow. After I acknowledge the indicators and realize that that employee survey that I paid thousands of dollars to get, I better pay attention to it and ask myself the question, how do I fix it? Then I have to address the issues. And in order to address the issues, we have to get right down to the heart of the matter. Because see, for some of you, your customer is going to meet Paula instead of your product. You know Paula, don't you? Paula's the lady that worked in the restaurant that decided it would be cute to write a racial slur on the customer receipt when the order went out for delivery. So now your company is paying millions of dollars because Paula was disgruntled and made a decision against the company. You don't want your customer knowing Paula. You want them to know about your product. For some of you, your customers met Paul. Paul is the guy that works in the manufacturing plant, and he's been crying for weeks about trying to get some attention. So Paul decided, I'm not doing my part today. I'm not going to tighten another screw. So the product goes out to your customer and you get a big recall. Now they've lost confidence in you. They know Paul, but they don't know your product. These things happen day in and day out because companies are ignoring their people. When I go to the tire shop to get my tire fixed, there are three things that they always do that I want you to leave here and consider doing. The first thing they do when they fix my tire is that they rotate them. Because they realize that if I don't rotate the tires, the pressure will be unevenly distributed and it'll wear down quickly. For some of you, you need to rotate the right people in the right place. And the truth is, some of your leadership needs to be rotated out. Because if you don't do this rotation, your company will be continually worn down. The second thing that they do is that they always balance my tires out. You see, they make sure that when they add a new tire, they have to balance them all to make sure that the weight is evenly distributed. For some of you, you talk work-life balance, but it doesn't mean a thing. You get them a sandwich from Chick-fil-A and say, work through lunch. You have a family day, but you tell them they can't go until they finish the report. We have to have true work-life balance for your employees and for your company to really flourish. Finally, what I love about it is they always make sure that my car is aligned. You see, the alignment affects the way the car is suspended on the tires so that when the rubber meets the road, I can have a smooth ride. For many of you, you have these big mission and vision statements, but the person that's doing the work can't recite it, doesn't know anything about it. They don't know the why behind why they're there. And until you marry mission and vision with culture and competency, your company can never truly drive towards success. The last thing that I love about the things that they do at the tire shop is that they always assign a time for inspection. You see, when I leave, they tell me, you want to come back in about 5,000 miles, because if you don't inspect it by that time, you'll have issues again. For many of you, your companies, you've acknowledged the indicators, you've addressed the issues, but you haven't inspected what you expect. And when you walk away from it, your company will get worn down over and over again. For some of you, I can see your eyes. You're saying, does he work at my job? Has he been peeking into my organization? You're asking yourself the question, what do I do about it? I've left conferences like this before, and I went back to my company. I wrote some notes down. I've put it in my desk, and I went back to the daily grind. You can do that. Or you can do what's necessary. For each and every one of you, you're a leader in this room. So the question is, are you going to go back to the problems and continue with the status quo? Or are you going to do what I know you can and fix it?